I was shitting in the shower one day. That's a little gross, you might say. But when nature calls, you must obey. Ole! Much like Marvel's Stage 5, we are barely alive.
You could have just waffle stomped it.
I don't know what that is. What's that?
Waffle stomped it?
Take a shit in the shower and you stomp it down with your foot. Help me! Hi!
As I think we observed last time, welcome back to the wrongness.
All the wrongness.
My name is Max.
I am Sam.
I'm Shane.
And this is Maybe Movies, where we take a couple of great films, pluck out key characters from them, drop them in the plot of the other ones, and see what happens. If you were with us last week, then you will know that we are looking at Event Horizon and The Black Hole, and this week we will be looking at Act 1 and Act 2 on Friday as well, of our new version of Event Horizon, lovingly called The Event Hole.
Hole.
Holy.
I don't make them up, although yes I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Before we get to that, as always, just a quick thank you to everyone who's been checking out the channel recently. Your time and the love of your eyes is most welcome.
That was just weird, Max. You just completely take the weird to another level.
Compared to
I
what
was
we've...
just pretending it didn't happen, but no, you had to call it out, didn't you?
I have to point out these things.
I was in a play once, and one of the lines that somebody had to say to the one who's playing his partner was that I want to lick your eyes. That's another level of affection that most people never attain.
Most sane people, yes.
Moving on very swiftly.
Yeah,
We're going to do a quick shout out today for one of our friends not only just from YouTube, but also from Twitter as well. This is for Jan from Maple Mystery Games, who's a really good friend, a really good supporter, and she runs a small company that does mystery games, so like sort of murder mysteries for your party.
Oh, right.
And she has got a new one out for Halloween out at the moment, so there'll be a link to all of that good stuff in the description below.
Wait, do you mean she writes them or she performs them?
No, she writes them.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
That's, yes, adding to the milieu.
Yeah.
Yes, always good.
And then so you get, it's like the set that you get with all the instructions and things that you need to host it yourself.
I've heard about these. They do seem quite intriguing. Host your own murder mystery kind of things.
Yeah. So thank you, Jan, for all your support.
Thank you.
For some reason, I feel like I should have been given a star. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like just in the back of my mind. It's like somebody said I should have a star, but I don't think it was one of you two, so I don't know who it could be.
Why would you have a star? Why should you have one?
What was the star for?
Yeah, please explain.
For last week, for my suggestion that the whole point of, or how this works, is that they've crossed over at the same moment, and that's how they end up in each other's film.
No, that was me.
No, that was me.
It was me.
That was me. Okay, tell you what, let's split the difference. Let's have one each.
Okay.
Does that work?
Does the arbitral alarm going ding ding? You just have a star.
I've got nothing to stick it on.
Well, you have now.
Oh, alright. Yeah.
Tell you what, actually, you have those two on there, then you've got something to keep
That's
them
why
on.
you need to get a secret
But
weapon.
the thing is, I stuck one on a DVD last week, so that would mean I've got 3 stars instead of 2.
Well, no, that's 2, because you had 1.
Yeah.
So that's your 2, that's including your one from last week.
Yeah, they were counting as you go along.
Right, okay.
Okay, so we're going to have a look at Act 1 of the event.
The video.
The event hole.
Is it just going to be hole-based puns for the rest of the month?
You called it.
It does kind of invite the situation.
It does.
The wrong hole. You know. I went into the wrong hole.
See, that's if we were crossing Event Horizon with the wrong trousers.
Or
Which would make the wrong hole and the event trousers.
Or the trouser event.
The trouser event! Oh, that'd be fantastic! Do you want to see it, folks? Tell us. Tell us in the comments below. If you really want it, we'll do it.
We'll do it. We're gonna try and start properly now. Okay, so from the top.
I apologise for my warm sense of humour.
That's all right. No apology necessary.
That's why we invite you.
So I think the basic setup here is that this mysterious ship, or they've received, or whatever, Earth Central Command has received a weird signal from around Neptune, so they dispatched the Lewis and Clarke to go and investigate. I'm assuming they put Dr. Weir on there as a prominent ship designer, a guy who's more in the know than the recovery crew themselves.
Yeah, would be my so.
More or less, yeah.
So really, again, the introduction to this is going to be the same, although the
backstory will be different.
Yes, we won't get his explanation of how the gravity drive works or anything like that.
I'm supposing that's because they've crossed over. Weir's there because it's at the location his ship was last known at.
Maybe some of the information that comes back is consistent with the kind of forces that would have been created by a black hole.
Absolutely. The Einstein-Rosen bridge is theorised from...
and so nobody knows more about it than we, so they send him along.
Exactly. We've got most of that beginning bit down the same, isn't it? It's like we meet the crew, they're all this hodgepodge of guys.
Yep.
That are used to doing extreme rescues in deep space.
Yeah, so they're familiar with all of their nuances, and they're friendly, they're banter, they're kind of like a family.
1990s joke.
Yeah. So we need to see that. Sorry, I'm not going to comment. So we have all of that stuff when they get ready and go into the deep space, and they go into the deep drive, and they meet Dr. Weir, who's desperately trying to talk to them and shit.
So we're going to do this the same way then, that we see the ship, but it's all when they finally see the Cygnus, then it's all powered down, or is it going to be all lit up like a Christmas tree?
I think it should be powered down.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
because it wouldn't seem right if they turn up and it's all powered up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like for them to go on and investigate and power the ship up.
And also, if the ship's not powered up, they can't see that it's not the Event Horizon. It's just a powered down ship, and they have to get closer. Otherwise, they try to communicate with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be powered down. It needs to be dark.
And again, they've got there's no catalogue or record of a ship of this design or name.
I got the idea that the Cygnus
is
a bit bigger. Well, I was going to say it's a bit bigger.
It's catalogued, but it's from the future.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have records for it just yet.
So they'd have an unidentified ship, but until they saw it, they wouldn't know how much bigger it was than the Event Horizon.
Hang on a minute, it'd only be 18 years in the future.
No, it's longer than that. If we're saying it again, if we're kind of in this one linking them so that they've swapped over, they find the Cygnus in 2130, and whereas Event Horizon is set in 2047.
So they're 100 years apart.
Yeah. No, I always got confused though. So I did get confused.
That's all right.
I is old and befuddled and easily confused.
No, this was confusing when we talked about this last week.
But that works. So they've got no idea of the scale of this ship.
No, none at all. And because there's no power on it, there's no signals.
But don't they send out a thing, don't they, to check for signs of life?
They can scan the ship for life signs. Now, I suppose the difference here is that they didn't get anything back with... I mean, even the Palomino, when it scanned the Cygnus, it doesn't find anything.
I'm going to say this is actually something that's from the original movie that we could put into it. When they first approach, Stark does her scan of the ship, and she keeps getting nominal signs of life.
Same as in Event Horizon. Okay.
When you think about all of those cyborg workers, nominal signs of life would be the same thing.
I like it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. And again, because it's so disparate throughout the ship, that would probably mask any single positive life sign which you'll be getting from Reinhardt.
That's what I'm kind of figuring, yeah.
What I was also going to suggest, and I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but it was something that you said last week about, again, pointing out that because we're picking up essentially what happens from what should have happened if the Cygnus had gone through properly at the end of the black hole.
Yeah.
They've turned up here, they've been through this kind of weird vision of heaven and hell. That when we actually get onto the Cygnus itself, and as the story kind of unfolds, but it's just mentioning it now so we're all working from the same page, is that there are pockets of good and evil within the ship, because it's been through both.
He is right. Do you think that works?
That could work, actually.
Yeah, because then it would give them safe zones within the ship to retreat to.
Kind of like a computer game.
And actually, while we're on the subject of things that would have happened if they'd gone through, obviously, in the original movie, when they go through hell, Reinhardt gets combined with Maximilian.
Yes.
Part of me wants to say that's the way we should do it because he's gone through the hole. But the problem is if Reinhardt is combined with Maximilian, aren't we just turning this into a slasher in space movie? I thought that would make you smile.
But essentially, that's what it is.
I mean, we would still have the creepy stuff about the living ship and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, the bad guy would be the blade spinning, slashing.
I don't have a problem with that, because you'd have Maximilian, but with Reinhardt's intelligence.
We also lose any kind of explanation of what's going on.
And I think he deserves a strike.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, my question is, which way should we take it? You know,
it depends on how we want to do this, because we still have a point of exposition if we allow that Bob is still active.
Oh, Bob! I forgot about Bob. Yes, good point.
Yeah.
That's kind of clever. Yeah.
How clever.
Do you think he's clever enough for a star? Yeah.
But it also I mean, thank you. But it also works as well because the Palomino never went on the event horizon. Things like Captain Star, the robot, is still active.
Yeah.
So you've got all of these antagonists. So again, it's kind of like you said. Yes, there will be these lovely horror elements in it, but we're still going to get this closer to this crazy space adventure.
Now, I'm going to point out, when Reinhardt describes his ship, he does describe it as capable of manipulating gravitational fields.
Yes.
And you know what? That's how the event horizon works.
That's obviously how he's going to start working on Weir.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And as soon as they find out the ship is from the future, one, does that suggest that his line of thought with the gravity drive has been adopted? He's going to think that it's been adopted as more commonplace in the future. And two, what can he learn from this man to make a better gravity drive?
I was kind of thinking that way, because, Weir is obsessed with his ship.
Yeah.
And it's gone missing. And this man is the only man who has any answers for him. He's going to get obsessed with him real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twitch.
Indeed.
And of course you've got Smitty in there as well, just being like, nope, don't have anything to do with it.
I like Smitty. I thought he was brilliant.
How can you not love Sean Pertwee? Come on.
Oh, very young Sean Pertwee as well.
I mean, you got to face it. It's like, what movie does Sean Pertwee not die in? Or TV show, for that matter?
I can't.
That's very true.
Is it Sean Bean syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah,
Apart from
Hammy.
Sharp.
A bit hammy. I think one of his best on-screen deaths was in Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers. I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that, man. I told you to knock me out, not touch me out.
They find the ship, they do their scans, they dock.
Yes.
Which is, again, this itself is going to be, where the fuck do we dock on this thing? They'll have to try and find, all of the docking procedures may be all completely different.
Yeah.
They could dock at the front of the ship as they're facing it, I guess. Like underneath the...
I think it might just be a case of they might just need to, almost like spacewalk, to attach the umbilical because the connections won't be the same.
In the film they used the pincers, didn't they, to attach to the ship.
Yeah.
And it crushed it.
Of course it did.
Because
it latches onto a bit of the architecture, doesn't it?
It latched onto the architecture, but it crushed it, damaged it. So maybe they were too forceful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then they can get in that way.
Instead of going onto an airlock, they latch onto the side and cut a hole through the umbilical. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is they could go in through the airlock, because there is an airlock there.
Oh, there is.
In order for them to latch onto the ship.
Oh, they just have to grab onto...
Yeah, because the Palomino lands, doesn't it? But this is obviously a completely different design. It won't be able to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it would literally end up damaging part of the ship when they go in.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when they finally get onto the ship, what are we having first? Because obviously the Sentry robots don't turn up straight away.
They don't turn up until after Reinhardt reveals himself.
So what are we having them find as soon as they go on there? Some of the crew that didn't survive the journey, just
floating.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, the idea that there's been some sort of quasar disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space.
One of the things that's going to be different than straight away, because if they're finding bodies, the first thing they're going to do is take one of those masks off.
Once they find the mask, they're going to find the bodies themselves are desiccated.
What?
With no moisture at all, they're just dried husks.
Yeah, that would still look like the results of a space disaster.
Yeah, but DJ is who's trauma, isn't he? He'd probably given time to have a look at it.
But that would take time.
Yes, he would now need to get into the medical bay first of all.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do then for this act, then, if we follow them through the ship until they get to the command center, which is where Maximilian/Reinhardt reveals himself.
Of course.
Which would be the end of the act.
I'd assume that Weir would step forward to be the opposing voice of reason.
If we're following the line of Event Horizon, then we're not going to get them. It's not everybody who goes on board first of all. So you'd have Lawrence Fishburne, you'd have Stark, DJ, and
Justin
are the ones who go on board.
Yeah. So it'd be that initial boarding party, but it's the four of them that confront him.
Yes.
But of course, they're like, what's going on here? What's going on here? And finally, this voice rings out.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be, once they get on, so once they're looking around the bridge, they're trying to, and they're like, I don't even know where to begin. And you just see kind of things floating in the background, and then I just imagine somewhere in the dark in the background, you just see this kind of this red glow, and it just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard my ship, or something like that.
It adds to the creep factor as well.
It does.
Because if it's very eerie.
Yes,
it should be, so it's like they're shrouded in darkness until you just see the lights.
Just all these bodies drifting around, and then suddenly a red light in the distance, and they just.
So again, just to suggest it subtly, as they're moving through the ship, parts of the ship do possibly have almost that thing like the Event Horizon, where it looks like it's just like matter splattered up like the sides of the ship, and yet other parts are pristine, other parts which are good, shall we say.
It'd be cool if you had skulls, skeleton hands and stuff.
Oh, right. So, there'd be the matter, and it slowly smushes through, and it sort of processes through, and then the skulls come against the glass.
Yeah.
And yet, but they do find sections that are completely pristine in there.
Yeah. Nice, cool. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But that would bring us then to the end of Act 1.
It does bring us to the end of the act. I think so.
Excellent.
This one's quite simple.
It is.
To start with.
Phew. We are done for today. We will be back on Friday with Act 2 of the event hall. Please do come back and join us then.
As always, guys, TTFN.
Ba 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 ba.